Good morning and welcome to the Oasis Center for Spiritual Living, where we come together as one, providing spiritual tools for daily living. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the senior minister here at the Oasis, and we're really blessed to have you with us. I know there's 1,000 things you could be doing on a Sunday morning, and it's wonderful to have you with us. I'd also like to introduce my practitioner of the day, who is supporting me on the pulpit, the wise and powerful Oz.
Mm-hmm.
And
I have a watch party going.
Oh, good.
20 seconds late.
And my trusted assistant, which I could not do the service without. For those of you who have commented that you think you're in a conversation with me, please know that she is she's acting as my surrogate. But I do look at the comments to see that she is representing me the right way. But she's my mini-me, so if you know that you're getting comments back, it's from Faith, please. Okay, thank you. Today's topic is joy to you and me, just like the song says. But that's all I'm going to tell you for right now. And I'd also like to introduce Fairy Elaine Silver as one of the, we use her song, We Are All One, all the time. And we always use the Karen Drucker song, I Am So Blessed, at the end. So I consider them part of my leadership team because of that. So that is my leadership team that I have introduced. If you're here, please say hi or hello or morning. Hi, Joy, so that we know that you're here, because we have no way of knowing if you're here or not. So that's a great way to let me know that I have an audience and who's here. Also, if you would like to do a watch party like Oz was just talking about, there's a watch party button. If you click on that, you'll be able to experience church with your friends and be able to comment back and forth, and you won't bother anybody. So I'd like to invite you to close your eyes if that feels comfortable. Allow the service to uplift and inspire you as we move into our centering song.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can feel the rush of angels' wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
I know the presence of God right here, right now, in me, as me, and in each of us, as each of us. For that one indwelling spirit is the same spirit that extends through all time and all space, makes the world go round, makes the sun fly and burn. And I know that each of the planets is in their place through this same one infinite source of energy, this same presence and perfection that we speak of and call God. For that is the truth of what and who we are, and that at each and every moment we can allow that spirit to animate our being and know that it is good and very good, for only good things can come from this perfection. I allow that perfection to move through this service and to touch each life that is watching and hearing, for I know that that is the perfect plan, the perfection of God in us as us. I let this be so with great gratitude, knowing that the perfection of life is right here, right now, for all who hear. And I let this be so, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Oz. All right. So say hi if you're here. Hello, good morning, whatever you want to say. Just let us know you're here. If you like something that happens in the service, whether that be me saying something, Oz praying, Faith doing something behind the scenes, or a song that we will be showing, use the like button, the little thumbs up button. If you really love something, send us hearts because we love to get love. And if something is really powerful and really strikes you, then use the wow button. We love that wow button. So we are at the current moment without a singer. And so we're trying a new thing to see if Facebook is going to kick us off the air or not. If somehow if I share my screen and I play a video, so far it's worked, knock on wood. So let's hope that it continues that way. So I'm going to share my screen for the next song.
This joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't. written by the poet Toy Darracott.
Oops, I can't get this to stop. There we go. one of the drawbacks from doing it this way. So anyway, we are, as I said, we are without a singer. So we're trying some different stuff until we get a new singer. But the joy that we have, the world didn't give it to us, and the world can't take it away. And that's basically my sermon in a nutshell. Goodbye. No, just kidding. Just kidding. So let me get my sermon notes up here. Switching back and forth between all these screens. So usually right before Christmas, the month of Christmas, we do what we call our metaphysical Advent. And, in a lot of Christian churches, they do Advent every year, which is topics of love, peace, joy, and hope. But we do it our way for several reasons. One of the reasons is that we, let's see, somebody's chatting with me. Oh, the audio went out during the song. Oh, that sucks. I hope that didn't happen for everybody. Darn it. Okay, so, gosh. So we do it our way. And usually we organize it right around Hanukkah, which is a week and a half away. And that's the week that we do Hope. And so we organize it around that. And so this week we're going to be doing Joy. And it's a good lead into from what I was talking about last week, which was gratitude, a path to joy. And so here we are with Joy. And one of the things that is very clear to me is that it is not that we don't experience joy. What it is our definition of joy might be just a little different depending on the person. So many years ago, our organization, our parent organization, did this questionnaire on values where they gave us 100 values and said, pick the top 10 that are most important to you. And of course, all of our churches went along with that and did it too in their congregations. And what was interesting is they sent it to the practitioners, they sent it to the ministers, they sent it to the board members, and they sent it to the lay people, and nobody could agree on the same 10 values. And so we limped along thinking, none of us agree on what our values are. But I've come to realize that it wasn't that we don't have shared values. I have come to realize that we can't agree on the definition of the values themselves. Now, I got this from this PhD program I was enrolled in where we were looking at master values and how we run away from certain things and we run towards other things and really understanding why we do that. What values are driving us to run away from things and what values are driving us to run towards something. And I've always said, if you're running away like our practitioners that have come from other organizations, are you running away from your church or are you coming to my church because you're running towards us? And I always wanted to make that clear that if you don't have the vision of running towards us, if you have the vision of running away from something, you need to go back and clear that up, and then we're happy to have you with us. And so I really started to think about this shared values thing and how we couldn't agree on the definitions of it. So I have to ask you, what is your definition of joy? You don't have to answer me. I just want you to get clear about it. What is your definition of joy? I mean, here's a perfect example. When I teach a class, I always ask the students to claim an intention for the class. And I ask them, what is it you want to get out of this class? And where are you now on a scale from 1 to 10? And where do you want to be at the end of the process? From 1 to 10? And I had this one student who wanted to have joy. And I said, okay, well, where are you in the process? And he said, -10. I was like, okay. And where did you want to get to by the end of the class? And he said, I want to get to 10. And I thought, all right, that's kind of a big jump, but we're gonna work on that. And through the course of time, as we went through each class, he started saying, I'm experiencing joy. I'm really experiencing joy. And what it came down to was it wasn't that he wasn't experiencing joy. It was because he had this overblown idea of what joy was, and it just wasn't possible. And because of that, at the end, he said it was a 10. And I thought, oh, awesome. That's awesome. But what I realized finally was that the definition of joy has to be something that is measurable and attainable before we can actually experience it. Because if we set ourselves up, and it is a setup, if we set ourselves up that joy has to look so huge, then we're never going to get there. So Todd Evan Pressman, PhD, wrote this book called Radical Joy, Awakening Your Potential for True Fulfillment. And his definition of joy was the discovery of high purpose, ultimate meaning, and deep fulfillment. He goes on to say, discover your high purpose and you assign meaning to your existence, which leads you to deep fulfillment. Now, I've discovered my high purpose, but I'm still working on that ultimate meaning and deep fulfillment. It's a process. It's not something that happens overnight. And, you know, when I started my ministry, I built a church. And we were required to do these obnoxious reports. I didn't say that. Shh. But it was to hold us accountable as ministers. Now, people who went into existing churches only had to do it every 6 months. And usually they were ordained in 2 years. It took me 7 years to get ordained. And because I started a church, I had to do it every 3 months. Now we're talking like an 8 to 12 page report every 3 months. And oh my God, it was such a hassle. But there were two things that gave me, that made me happy about the report, because it gave me a chance to discover joy. And so one of the questions was, do you experience joy in your ministry? You know, at first, even in marriage or anything else, when you get a new job, you're always joyful at the beginning, right? It's new possibilities. Everything's wonderful. I get to do this. I get to do that. I can do, and then over time, there are challenges, and it's really difficult for you to find joy, especially in the ministry, when these challenges come up. And I really resented these reports at first, and then I became grateful for the opportunity to define the ways that my ministry brings me joy. Because when you have to stop and think about it, then you have joy in the experience, right? You start understanding where joy is found. And then the second question that I worked with a lot, and it was really good for me, was how do you bring joy to your congregation, your family, your friends? And again, I had to really think about, how is it that I bring joy to my congregation? Is it through laughter? Is it through just being present for them? Is it, by, giving them the present of my presence? How is it that I give joy to others? And so I'm going to ask you to ask yourself the same question. How do you bring joy to your family and friends? How do you find joy, and how do you bring it to them? Again, without this big, huge picture of joy, I had to start looking at where I found joy. Now, pictures of puppies and kittens are a perfect example, because nobody looks at joy the same way dogs and cats do. Honest to God, they are just joyful creatures. And, 1 minute they can be snarling and snapping, and the next minute they are just bundles of joy. And they teach us a lot about joy. Chakotay, my Alaskan Malamute that used to attend church with us, was a perfect example of that, because you would scold him for something and he would sit and kind of go, and then all of a sudden he'd perk up and he'd go, happy now? And, it was hard to stay mad at him because he was such a bundle of joy. And another one was Muffy. She was our Golden Retriever Cocker Spaniel mix. And she really was an interesting dog. She was dumb as dirt, really dumb as dirt. Couldn't learn anything, very stubborn. She had that Cocker Spaniel attitude about everything. But the one thing that she did that taught me a lot about joy was that she would get on her back on the grass and she'd go for like an hour. And I realized that she is just comfortable in her skin. She loves her skin. And so it taught me a lot about learning to love my skin, learning to love who I am as a person without any of the accoutrements that, we think are important for having joy. Dogs are funny. They only have the experience of now and forever. You're gone now. You're back forever. It's like, you're gone forever. You're back now. I mean, it's always that, and they are so crazy joyful when you get home. The reason they're so excited is because they only know now and forever, right? And that's one of the things we need to recognize, is that this present moment is where the most joy is found. Just like little children on the playground, they meet up. They've never seen each other before. They're best friends forever because they play together. We adults, we let the cares of the world overtake our joy. Smokers are, a different animal completely, because we can bond with each other. We have something in common. So we can bond with each other right away. I experienced that in California, where I guess smoking is kind of a guilty pleasure that you push off to the side. So I was at this restaurant and I met some people in the alley that were smoking. And we just were like best friends all of a sudden, they were inviting me to their house for dinner, stuff like that. It was pretty amazing because, I was visiting from Colorado. I wasn't even part of that. And so the experience that I had, the awareness that I got from that is that, it's really easy to bond with somebody when you have a common interest. And it's not so easy when you don't have a common interest. But kids, oh no, they don't do that. Kids don't have to have a common interest at all. I mean, when you think about it, they go, let's play, okay? And what kind of game do you want to play? Oh, I don't really like that game, but I'll play it with you. They don't even need that common interest. They just, every moment is joyful because they're on the playground and they're meeting new people. And so they have new friends and they love it. And so what do animals and little children on the playground have in common? Complete acceptance in the present moment. That's the thing that we adults struggle with. We're so busy living in the past, or we are so busy thinking about the future, that we can't be absolutely 100% present in the present moment. And our way to joy is the complete acceptance of God's love in the present moment. It's not in the future. It's not in the past. Joy only happens in the present moment. We can remember experiencing joy in the past, or we can look forward to experiencing joy in the future, but we can only have the actual experience of joy in the present moment. So stop and think, what brings me joy in my life? What is it that brings me joy? For me, it's, it doesn't have to be this big, overwhelming fulfillment thing, but what are the little things? Butterflies. Have you ever watched a butterfly? It's just amazing when you just sit there and watch them and you have no other purpose but to watch this butterfly. And it's very joyful when you think about how they flitter back and forth and, they have a little joyful experience. Or I used to sit on my couch, and we have a school across the way from us. But besides the school, there's this big open blue sky. And I used to sit on my couch and enjoy the clouds, whether it was sunny or raining and, we had thunder and lightning clouds or whatever it was. And I would just take moments of joy, just like take a joy break and watch the clouds. And in fact, my first experience of meditation was an experience of joy. I used to, when I lived in California, I lived in Long Beach. And every Sunday, I used to drive down to Laguna Beach. It's like a half hour, 45-minute drive. It's not that bad, but it was like a ritual for me. And as soon as you get into the town, there's a Rocky Mountain, which I find interesting in itself. There's a Rocky Mountain chocolate factory there. And so what I started doing was I would go and get chocolate covered strawberries, and I'd get a dozen of them because, one's not enough. And I would sit on the beach, and then at sunset, when the tide was going out, I would sit there and I would enjoy my lovely strawberries, chocolate covered strawberries, as I felt the pressure change from the tide, because it was such a moving experience. There's something about those negative ions or something. Being at the beach is already that experience, but when the tide's going in or the tide's coming out, coming in, going out, however that works, there is such a powerful presence of those ions. And you just sit there and enjoy the feeling. And what I realize now is that that was my first experience with meditation. But what I experienced it as at the time was an experience of joy. And when I need a little break from the world and I want to experience joy, I remember those things because they help me remember how to feel joy. I know that everybody has an experience like that. So this week, take a joy break once a day. Just take a joy break and figure out one thing that you can focus your attention on so that joy is your experience. And then I want you to stop and think, how do I bring joy to my friends and family? You see, it's obvious to them. If you were to ask them, how do I bring joy to you? Which is what I ended up doing at times because I couldn't think of anything for my report. How do I bring joy to my congregation? And so I would go and I would ask somebody, how do I bring joy to you guys? And they would come back with easy answers, like several things, you know. And so when you think about others, if you were to ask them, how do I bring joy to you? They'd be able to really quickly just name off a bunch of things. It's not easy for us to see from the inside out. And so sometimes you have to ask people, but stop and think about that. How do I bring joy to my friends and family? And what keeps me from my joy? Fear. Fear is one thing. You know, fear of anything. Fears keep us from experiencing the joy of the moment that we're in. I got to read you this thing here. I got to find it here. Let me get up at it. I couldn't, for some reason, it wouldn't let me copy this or print it. And so I have to get it off online. This is, again, Todd Evan Pressman in his book, Radical Joy. And he's talking about St. Francis of Assisi. And he says, early in his career, St. Francis of Assisi had a terrible fear of lepers. One day, while riding his horse, a leper appeared in the path before him, blocking his way. Francis was paralyzed. In a peak of panic, his consciousness opened up. He got off his horse and moved as if by a higher hand and walked toward the leper. Trembling, he kissed him on the lips. With this, he became filled with an overwhelming sweetness, immersed in a divine bliss. He bowed his head and closed his eyes, seeing the face of the beloved in his mind. Upon opening his eyes, the leper was nowhere to be found. He continues and he says, this beautiful story reveals a great secret. When we find and face our fear, we are flooded with a joy that has always been waiting for us. And so I invite you this week to face some fears. It doesn't have to be big, huge fears. You can start out with small ones because I know that process is scary in itself. But also there is the tale of Daniel in the lion's den. When you think about that, here he is, he's completely surrounded by these lions and big stone walls, you know, and everybody's watching him because they want the lions to tear him apart, part of the barbaric past. And he had a choice. He could either just sit there and let the lions tear him apart. He could try to run, but where are you going to go? You can't climb a stone fence or a stone wall. And so he chose instead to sit calmly and face the lions. And in doing so, he calmed them. In doing so, they calmed down and they laid down. And that's what saved him. And of course, you know, they were unhappy. All the spectators were unhappy because that wasn't what they came to see. But it teaches us a very valuable lesson that our fears are only as powerful as we allow them to be. If I'm willing to let fear overcome me, then I'm having a hard time experiencing joy. And it's a beautiful story about how you can turn that fear into joy. So what fears do you have that have been keeping you from your joy? Think about it. I don't need a comment. Just think about it. Another example is massage. I don't know how many of you get regular massages. I do. I need them. And so, you know, when you're in pain and they go to massage you, it hurts. Hey, it hurts. And our first reaction is to pull away from the pain, right? And so I had this one masseuse that I went to for like 29 years, and she taught me this very valuable exercise. Whenever it was painful, I had to stop and deep breathe. Big breath in. Ah! And let the breath out. But while I was doing that, I had to lean into the pain instead of reacting and withdrawing away and pulling away. So breathe and lean lean into the pain is my advice for you this week as you start to uncover these fears. When we have a fear, instead of withdrawing in reaction like we normally do, just lean into it. And when we're willing to turn and face our fears like Daniel did in the lion's den, there's joy for us to experience. Always practice choosing joy over fear. Now, the second thing that gets in the way of that joy is unforgiveness. I remember a long time ago, I was watching one of those reality shows, and I don't even remember what the name of the reality show was, to be perfectly honest with you, but I will never forget this part of it. And so Tammy Faye Baker, who was a Christian minister, I don't know how many of you know her, who she always had a lot of makeup on, and every time she did a sermon, she'd start crying, and the makeup would be, like pouring down her face. And that made her even more famous. So, and Vanilla Ice, who was a rapper, a white rapper, were living in this house together, and they were stuck in this house together for however long the season was. And so one day, Tammy Faye said, "I have to go tomorrow to do a sermon at church." And Vanilla Ice, not knowing who Tammy Faye Baker was, thought, okay, I want to go experience this. I couldn't believe it when he said that, but he did. And he goes and he's sitting in the audience, and she chose the subject of unforgiveness that day. And what she said that struck him so powerfully was that back in the medieval times, if you committed a crime, if you did something to someone else, if you killed somebody, for example, if you killed somebody, they would take the corpse and they would strap it onto your back. And you had to carry it around and wait for it to decompose. Can you imagine how stinky and smelling that would be? And, it was not easy to get around with a corpse strapped to your back either. And so she was talking about how unforgiveness is just like having that corpse strapped to your back. It's very difficult for you to do anything, and it stinks, and it's repulsive to others. There's an energy you carry about you when you are in unforgiveness that repels the world from you. And so I suggest that we practice forgiveness. Now, let's talk about forgiveness for a minute, because we have some misconceptions about forgiveness as well. What our definition of forgiveness is. Most people think that the definition of forgiveness is letting bygones be bygones and just, not holding anybody accountable for anything. And I used to like to say, if somebody burns your, if you're a kid and you invite a friend over to play in your playhouse and they burn it down, when you build a new one, you don't invite them back in. That's not what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is not giving them permission to treat you badly in any way, shape, or form. Forgiveness is not saying to them, what you did to me is okay. That's not forgiveness. What forgiveness is breaking the bonds, the chains that bond us, that keep us from experiencing our joy. Not for the other person. They don't even need to know whether you forgive them or not. You just go on with your life and they go on with theirs. They probably aren't even thinking about what they did to you. They're probably just off living their life and have no idea that they've caused you this pain. You're the only one keeping it alive. You're the one who is carrying it around like that corpse. And so the idea of forgiveness is to break the bonds, the chains that bind us to that person and to that experience and don't allow us to experience joy in our lives. Hang on a second. And the Bible says, how many times should I forgive thee? 7 times 7 times 7. In other words, it's a constant process. Now, again, you're not inviting that person back into your life. You're not inviting them, or you're not saying to them, it's okay what you did. You're still going to hold them accountable. You're never going to forget. But what you're going to do is you're going to forgive so you can move on with life, so you can experience joy, so you can rejoin your whatever community that person is a part of. How many of you walk around, keeping yourself away from a community of friends or family or, even a church community because that person might be there? You know, when you think about it, you're the only one who's suffering. They're not suffering at all. They've moved on and gone on with their life. So what you're doing is you are releasing yourself from the need to guard against perhaps running into this person, or guard against rejoining your community, whatever that is. And so I invite you this week to practice that, to look at forgiveness as a possibility for yourself. Whatever they did, they did. It's over and done with. And you harping on it, all that's going to do is keep you in bondage. And so as we move through this week, I'm going to invite you to look at situations where you can forgive them. And then I want you to forgive yourself. So much of our unforgiveness has to do with, look what I did to myself by allowing that person to do such and such, right? Or forgive yourself for giving away your power, or forgive yourself for being the vessel through which they are able to heap their whatever's on you, their anger, their resentment, their whatever it is. Forgive yourself, because that's very, very important. And it's a good thing to do for you as well. It's not going to help them any, but it will help you. Now, when you first start out in a relationship, you have these rose-colored glasses on, and it's really easy to find joy. It's really easy to experience joy in everything that happens in that relationship, right? But as time goes by and things happen, there are challenges to every relationship. No matter how good the relationship, there's always going to be some challenges. I've been with Lynn 40 years. We have our challenges. And it's really easy at that point to start looking at what's gone wrong instead of looking at what is right in the relationship. And joy becomes harder to find when we're doing that. We forget to go back and look at what's right. There was a reason we fell in love in the first place. There was a reason we connected with that person. Try to remember that. Forgive whatever's in the past, whatever they may have done, because it's not for them, it's for you. It's for you releasing the bonds that keep you from your joy. The third thing that keeps us from our joy is a sense of separation. It's that idea that we are separate from God. We have this idea. Maybe it's our religious training. Well, I'm sure it's our religious training, that somehow God is this wise judge in the sky with the white beard and the white robes and the white hair, and up there, writing into the record everything we've done. And unfortunately, that vision of God being a wise judge in the sky, judging us, who might punish us or reward us, keeps us from being joyful, because we're always looking over our shoulder. What did I do? Did I do that right? We don't want to do that. And, we don't teach about heaven and hell in religious science. And for that very reason, because we want to be good for the purpose of feeling good in this moment, not because we'll be rewarded in the future, not because we're afraid of being punished in the future, but because right here, right now, we want to feel good. And so this idea of a judge in the sky keeps us from being able to feel that. What if we had a vision of a supportive being within us that is supportive of our desires? Think about that for a minute, because we do teach that God is within us, not some being out here somewhere, but within us. The power that lives within us, the being that lives itself through us, the heart that beats within our heart, the breath that breathes us, the love that we funnel through us to others. That is God in us. And it's so much easier to not have fear when you know that God is within you. It's so much easier to turn and face those fears. And it's so much easier to forgive ourselves and others when we recognize that power is within us. It is not out there somewhere. And when we recognize that God is here within us, we can't be separate. Joy then is right on the surface for us to experience. When I think of a joyful person, one of the most joyful people I ever met, actually, was this practitioner named Sadie Turtelot. I don't know if you remember Sadie, Oz. I don't even know if he's in the picture here. Nope, he's not in the picture. I don't know if Oz remembers. He'll have to pipe up later. Sadie Turtelot was an amazing practitioner. She was so full of joy. And at one point, we were at Breakfast Club after we lost our facility. And Sadie came up and was talking to us about how she'd had cancer. And she healed herself through just opening to the light of God. And she just made her transition. And I don't know if the cancer came back. It's been 8 years since I've seen her, probably. But she just made her transition. But she is the epitome of joy, or was the epitome of joy for me. We did this class together for the School of Ministry with Evan Hodkins, I believe his name was. And he was a charismatic Christian leader, pastor. And he used to, his whole practice was about being ecstatic in the presence of God, being joyful. So he would sing and he would have us chant and he would have us dance, do Sufi dancing and all of that. Well, Sadie used to sit there and she was so funny because she would sit there cross-legged in the corner of the room and just laugh. She laughed all the time. And it was this joyful, gleeful, just beautiful expression of joy all the time. And so when I think about joy, one of the things I think about is Sadie Turtelot. And it's interesting because I was composing this sermon, and that's when Maureen Thurston let me know that she had made her transition. And it was just interesting because the timing, you know, like I said, I get my inspiration from everywhere, from TV, from friends, from just experiences on the street. You know, joy comes to me all the time. Well, sermons come to me all the time. Whatever, my inspiration. But she never believed in separation. It's when we believe in separation that we suffer, and it's difficult to experience that joy. It's those little moments of joy that we're keeping at bay with that idea of separation. So how do we experience that joy? How do we increase our joy in the moment? How do we increase joy in our life? Number one, we face our fears head on. We don't withdraw. We lean into them. We press against them. We breathe and lean into the experience. Number two, we forgive ourselves and others. We release ourselves from suffering. We release the joy that is being kept from bubbling up from within. And number three, we recognize that the power of God that is within us is greater than anything out there. See, there's nothing more powerful than God in me. We rid ourselves of any sense of separation from God or anyone else, and we recognize that God is God in us, through us, as us, that we are connected in it, by it, through it, heart to heart, mind to mind, soul to soul, spirit to spirit. I say this to remind myself that there is no separation. There could not be any separation. And we seek to find God in every situation, every person that challenges us, every moment of pain. We seek to know the oneness in everything, and we will experience immense joy. Will you participate with me this week? Take those joy breaks. Let's have a prayer. So right now, I just move into the awareness of the ever-present, ever-loving, ever-knowing, ever-being God that is within and without, that moves through us like a watermark on a page. God is everywhere present at all times. There is no place where God is not. And because I am like a watermark on the page of God, it flows through me easily and effortlessly. It is who and what I am, my very being, my very life, my very essence, who and what I am. And every thought, every action, every deed is guided and led by that one infinite power and presence within me that is the life of me, who and what I am. I know the same sense, the same idea is true, the same beingness is true for this team of God that supports God in the message that is brought to you every week. For Faith, for Oz, for Lynn, For we are one in that infinite power of God, and we are God's team, bringing forth that message of God into the world. We facilitate that message in everything we say, think, and do every Sunday. And so I know that those of you watching today, and those of you in real time and later, and even on other days that might tune in, we are all one. There is no place where one leaves off and the other begins. The oneness is what runs through us all. It runs through everything. There is no place where God is not. And so it is with that awareness that I bless this coming week. I know as we face our fears, as we forgive those who trespass against us, I know as we really look at what it means for God to be within us, that we cannot be separate no matter what we want, no matter what we think, no matter what we envision. There is no possibility of separation. And so I bless this coming week with those awarenesses that God is more powerful than any condition anyone can experience. And that is so for every name that is in the ministry of prayer this week. God is more powerful than whatever condition they are experiencing right here, right now. So I pull back the veil. I reveal the truth of God in that situation. I let that be their experience. I claim it and know it in their name as good and very good. And so my heart just fills with the gratitude to know that this is so, to be of service in this way, to know God. And I just let it be. And so it is. Amen. Oh, goodness here. All right. Now is our time for, or our opportunity to receive your gifts, tithes, and offerings, and your opportunity to express your gratitude and joy for that which you have already received, and that which you have already created in the mind of God, but may not have seen in physical form yet. Faith has now put on the comments our website. So please go to that website, oasiscsl.org. Oh, that's not right. oasiscsl.org. Sorry. If you're clicking on that, it's not going to take you anywhere. There we go. That's better. Please go to oasiscsl.org. And on that front page, about the middle of the page, you're going to see our offering affirmation and the Contribute Now button. And you might ask yourself, what am I contributing to? You know, you're not contributing to my salary because I don't get one. You're not contributing to anything in the salary realm. What you are contributing to is our message getting out into the world. Because what we really want is for people to be uplifted and inspired across the world. Not by nation, not by state, but the entire world. One person at a time. We want to uplift and inspire, and we want to heal the world one person at a time. So that is the mission that you are giving to when you contribute. So whether you are listening to this or watching this in current time or not, in real time, or if you're listening to it later, you can do this with me. Again, go to oasiscsl.org, and in the middle of the page, say this offering affirmation with me. This perfect gift is spirit and form, circulating and blessing all it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive. And so it is.
Lately I've been really watching move you. Yeah,
Oh,
let it move you. Let it move. Let it move you. Back when I was young, my eyes were full of life. But now that I am older, I live at the speed of light. Feels like the cycle never stops. Feels like it's never gonna. Gotta get that fire back in my bones before my heart turns into stone. So somebody please pass the megaphone. I'll shout it on the count of 3. Oh, in my prayer tonight, I'm singing to the sky. Give me strength to raise my voice, let me testify. Oh, in my prayer tonight, 'cause this is do or die. The time has come to make a choice, and I choose to let it move, let it move, let it move. Yeah, I choose to let it move you, let it move, let it move. So I walk through the valley in the shadow of night. Oh, with you by my side, I'm stepping into the light. I choose to let it move you, let it move, let it move you. Joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay. I need that joy, 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 joy down in my heart to stay. Let it move it, well, you let it move, oh, let it move it. Let it move you, oh, let it move, let it move you. So I walk through the valley.
I need joy in my heart to stay. Oops. Down in my heart to stay. Awesome. So what we have figured out some things. You know, the learning curve is always great. It just is always wonderful. Because what we figured out is why it went down the first time and why it went down the second time is I have to be on. I have to be in the shot. And so here we are learning something else again. So I muted my microphone so that if I was singing, you wouldn't have to listen to me, because, you know, the object is to listen to these people who are professionals do this. So anyway. All right. So now is the time for our announcements. The first announcement is we would really like to find singers. I would love to have a male singer and a female singer, so we can, you know, mix this all up a little bit. We like to do music from, you know, long ago. We like to do music that's current. We like to do a lot of things. And what we're looking for is singers who are really interested in increasing their audience to be a worldwide audience, because that's what we're about. We're trying to have a worldwide audience. We're not trying to, we're having. We have people join us from Brazil, India, oh gosh, Europe. We have the Netherlands. We have several people that join us from the Netherlands. And so it's really nice to know that there's singers out there. We know they're there. There's singers out there that are going to fit in with our vision and fit in with what we do, that are going to help God get the message out. So that's what we're looking for. If you know anybody that's a singer that would like to expand their audience to a worldwide audience, please let us know. We have a wonderful licensed practitioner team called the God Squad. And we have licensed practitioners from coast to coast who serve on the God Squad. And so today is the wise and powerful Oz. He's our practitioner of the day, and he's available for what we call our 1-minute miracle. It's not a time for counseling, but it is a time where you can share with him what experience you're having, and he will stop, drop, and pray with you right then and there. And we do that through video chat. So you can reach out to him through video chat. Faith has put that in the comments direct, so you can directly get to him. Yes, Bob Oswald. That's so cool that she can do that. Faith is figuring out all kinds of fun stuff to do with our software. I'm loving it. She's an awesome assistant. I can't tell you how much I appreciate her. Okay, so please know that our practitioners are available by appointment for a fee for spiritual guidance as well. So you can go to our website and find out about our practitioners and arrange to have a video chat with them for spiritual guidance for a fee. You'll have to arrange that with them. Each practitioner charges their own fees. We have nothing to do with that. So if you would like prayer to be in our ministry or prayer this week, our God Squad will pray on those requests every day for a week. And so if you would like prayer for something, I'd like you to put whatever the issue is in the comment field. And if not, if you would rather message us because you don't want it to be public, you can message us and we will make sure, Faith will make sure that you get added, the prayer request gets added to the, or I guess I do that. Yep, I do that. She's going, what? I will add you to the Facebook group page that is for our prayer requests. It is a private page, so only our God Squad can see the requests. So please know that you have some privacy with that. But if you will put whatever issue is either in the comment field or message one of us, and we will add it to that page. And if you would like to serve on our God Squad, if you're willing to make a commitment to do affirmative prayer every day for a week on those prayer requests, please say yes in the comment field. And if you would like to be part of our internet community, type more in the comment field. We have a public-facing group page that is our spiritual community online. All right. So we have bracelets and mala beads from Brooks and Bailey. There we go. And all benefits go to Rocky Mountain Lab Rescue. You can get a hold of them through Brooks and Bailey 0307 at Gmail. We also have, let's see, I don't have a mask handy. Brooks Limited does masks, and she also has one-of-a-kind outfits that are just incredible. My mom used to buy me a lot of her clothes, and I just dearly love all of them. And her Thanksgiving message was so perfect. Here she was talking about that she had this outfit on that was older, and she just did, you know, updated it with a little vest to go over it. And of course that was a pitch for her vest, but it's true. I mean, a lot of my stuff is old stuff that I take one of her pieces and add on to it. So that's really the best way to do it. So you can get a hold of her. Faith has put that in the comment section, Brooks Ltd. All right. Let's see. Reverend Fairy Elaine Silver has a website that you can buy her songs from. And you have to email her because somehow she's not able to update her website. So in order to pay for it, you have to find out, come on, buddy. You have to find out where to send the money to. We made that mistake and it went to the wrong place. All right. And Karen Drucker also has a website. So when you're listening to I Am Blessed, if that really touches you, you can go to her website. She has whole albums. She has, and you can buy it right then and there. You just put the card number in and it comes to you. And then, of course, check out our website, www.oasiscsl.org. And all of those things are available in the comment section. Check out our website. We have the current video sermons. We have previous audio sermons. We have all kinds of stuff for you to look at on our website. So check us out all the time. All right. Let's move into our Karen Drucker song as our closing song, I Am So Blessed.
So blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And it's the blessings of God surround and enfold me. I know that there is always a perfect answer to every situation. I let that answer unfold with joy and with anticipation of the blessings of God forming into my reality. And I know that this blessing is for each and every one of you as well. We are all experiencing the same relationship with the same perfect oneness of God. For being part of that, I give great thanks and I let it be so, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you for being with us today. We love seeing you, seeing your comments anyway. We love being in your presence. Thank you so much. I want you to stay safe. Make sure that you join us every Sunday morning at 10:30 a.m. Mountain Time. Or in Europe, that will be in the evening. So thank you for being with us. Stay safe. We love you. Bye until next week.
Namaste.